Hello and welcome to Boomer11. And today we're going to be talking about a player and we're going to be analyzing a player profile to understand the tactical understanding of what this player is all about. And we have chosen Alexis Mac Allister, who's made a move from Brighton to Liverpool. So we're going to be understanding what Alexis Mac Allister is all about, how did he go about in Brighton, and how can he fit into Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool system, and what the difference he can make for the Liverpool team to qualify into Europe and possibly win some trophies. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So today we've chosen Alexis Mac Allister because he has had a phenomenal season with Brighton of Albion, and to add to that, he's also won the World Cup with Argentina. He was one of the key men in the Argentinian squad when they went on to win the World Cup, because remember, he was an injury replacement, to say so, in the starting 11 to replace someone like Giovanni Lo Celso, who was one of the prominent members of the team. Argentina, after their debacle against Saudi Arabia, was certainly searching for a midfielder to come and do their job, and Alexis Mac Allister was the answer for that. Alexis Mac Allister had a phenomenal season, to say so, with the Argentinian team in the World Cup, and also for Brighton and Hove Albion for helping them to qualify into Europe for the first ever time in club history. So let's understand by starting off by looking into his stats, because stats is something which tells where he stands and what this is all about. Now, if you look at his stats, you can see some of the most important areas for a midfielder. Remember, Alexis Mac Allister plays as a midfielder, number 8 or number 10. Majorly as a number 8 and a number 10, because for the De Zerbi system, he did play more often than not as a number system in the pockets as well. So if you look at his stats to start off with, in 2022-23 season in the Premier League alone, he had 10 goals and 2 assists. And to add that, even the Carabao Cup, he had 2 assists right there. So he had a very good season, very decent season to stay off for. And for Argentina, remember, in the World Cup, he had 1 goal and 1 assist. But remember, one of the best came in the World Cup final as well. He was phenomenal in terms of his performance. Played 6 matches. That's a metric which you have chosen here. It is 71.5 per 90 and expected goal contribution. Now, this is a very important stat when you look into the larger scheme of things as to how much can he get into the final third and how big a threat he can be. And there as well, his metric is 76.45 per 90, which is incredible. And his shots per 90, especially, remember, a player like Mac Allister is someone who is very good carrier with the ball. He gives the final ball into the striker, and then he moves away as well. Now, remember, what he has done with the Brighton team has been phenomenal, especially as a ball progressor, especially in the midfield. And now that is what we're talking about. How he has possibly been a pivotal person in the De Zerbi system, because what he has done, even by taking the shots, the 10 goals he has scored outside the box and even inside the box, his awareness, the spaces he can create and try to create those chances by taking a shot on target is phenomenal. And now, one of the important metrics, you look in the yellow part of things. Now, this is a very important metric if you look as a midfielder, what you need in a setup like Liverpool as well. Now, talking about which, now, progressive passes. Progressive passes is a vital trait for a midfielder, and this is where he's at, ranging again in about 70s. Per 90, if he's ranging about 70s, that's a great stat to have. And to add to that, accurate passes of 66.6, which is anything about 65 for accurate passes, incredible. And passes as well as 73, 74.5. And received passes. Remember, uh, Alexis Mac Allister, the player, is a player who receives most number of balls, because he's extremely good under pressure. To add to that, he is someone who the most of the Brighton players offloads the ball with. He's a ball receiver. He carries the ball, especially when you look into the opposition half. He is someone who's a good dribbler as well. And to add to that, a good ball receiver. He can release the ball quick, at the same time hold the ball as well. His technical ability, technical awareness is this is where it comes into the absolute best. He's a good player when it comes to him getting into those positions, getting the ball and releasing the ball, at the same time shielding the ball as well. Under pressure, if 2 opposition men are on him, he knows how to shield the ball. And we saw some of the best traits in the last season with Brighton of Albion, where he was able to shield the ball more often than not before he makes that final pass or makes that final release of the ball. Now, that is what we are talking about. The player like Alexis Mac Allister and what he can possibly bring. Maybe his stats might not look the most glorious, especially when it comes to, oh, he's not the final man who's making the final pass for Brighton to score all their goals. Definitely not. But he's the one who's creating most number of the plays. He's the one who's been the orchestrator in the midfield, especially when it comes to the progressive passes, putting the ball into the wider areas, and also getting the ball in the center of the park, especially to create those penetrative chances. Once again, bringing to which that's where the dangerous passes metric matters the most. The most dangerous passes where you can penetrate through in between the lines and create a goal scoring chance. Now, add progressive passes with dangerous passes. Now that is where you see the effectiveness of Alexis Mac Allister, the midfielder, and that is where you will have to come to the very understanding that Alexis Mac Allister, the midfielder, is a complete package. Now let's look at some of his other traits, which is defensively, which we'll come to it later on. But this could be our metric where we take more and more references from. Let's look at what he can. Let's bring in some of the visuals to understand what he can possibly do when it comes to his defensive action as well. Now, as a defensive action player, in this particular visual as well, we can understand what he does off the ball, where he's trying to release the ball, and how many players can he get involved. You can see, man, you can see in this particular visual as well. He tries to create. He can either create a scoring chance right up front, or make an in behind run, get a player right behind him as well. His scanning awareness is incredible, and that is where you have to all admit that Alexis Mac Allister's signing for Liverpool is a massive one. If you look at his player profile, just now, if you look at this visual as well, it's a very important visual because how many players can he bring into the picture? Now, his passing areas, this was a game against Liverpool the last season, especially Alexis Mac Allister as a number 10 up the field. He brings more often than not 3 to 4 players into picture. He makes you run at the same time, create a decoy. If a player makes a decoy run as well, he gets a player who can make an in behind run involved in this. In this particular visual as well, he's pretty good, especially when it comes to creating those chances, putting the ball up wide, creating a penetrative passes, and that's why his best effectiveness is when he's up the field. You can say he can do a job as a number 8 box to box, maybe a little more, I don't know, deeper role, can play as a double pivot if need be. But Alexis Mac Allister, the number 10, is where he comes into his complete effect because of his tactical awareness, because of his tactical sharpness, and also because of his movements as well. Alexis Mac Allister's movements with the ball and off the ball, it's incredible to say so. And that's where Brighton and Albion has reaped the rewards the most out of him the last season. In a team like Brighton and Albion, where you can see they shape up in a counter pressing strategy, and also they like to move up the field. They like to play some good brand of football with the ball. They like to keep the ball more often than not, and that is where someone like Mac Allister has been a pivotal part in the system alongside Caicedo as well. The way in which Mac Allister has received the ball more often than not, the way in which Mac Allister has been able to take the ball and move forward, you have to say in transitions, in attacking transitions, he's been the player to watch out for. And even last season in attacking phases, if you look again, going back to the chart, attacking phases is where Alexis Mac Allister is the absolute best. Now let's bring another visual as well to understand what he possibly does. Now, what's the biggest trait for Alexis Mac Allister, right? Now, when we talk about Alexis Mac Allister, the biggest trait he's got is making those simple passes time and time again. Create those penetrative passes, which is very simple in nature, on the half turn, creating chances from the middle of the park. And that's something which he has done phenomenally well for Brighton and Albion. You have to say in the last season, creating those simple chances to get the strikers involved, get the wingers involved, and create an attacking chance out there out of the blue. And that is where his effectiveness is absolute best. Now, as I already mentioned regarding what he can do as a player on the half turns and creating those center chances, we should also understand what he could do in a system where there are players who's there to press the ball. When they are trying to play a counter-pressing system, when the players are going to press the ball, is he a ball receiver? Now, this is a very important trait for a midfielder. Is he a good ball receiver? Is he the first man to receive the ball? In this particular visual, you can see when the ball is played out to him by the defense, he's the first man to get into it as well. He's a good ball receiver, and to add to that, he can be a good person, especially when it comes to pressing as well. He is a person who you look to, especially in a system like this, where he can receive the ball, where he can take the ball in the half turns and progress the ball up front. Now, that is what we are talking about of Alexis Mac Allister, the package. Now, for Liverpool as well, you need to understand the fact that he's possibly going to play as a number 8 alongside someone like a Thiago and right ahead of Fabinho. And that is where you would want someone like an Alexis Mac Allister to be more up the field. Now, what is his possibility of playing as a number 8 or more in a deeper role? He can be used as a number 6 if need be in a double pivot system, but not as a single pivot because his defensive traits are not the best. Now, going back to his defensive traits once again, you can understand that his aerial duels, because of his stature, particularly because of his physicality, particularly his aerial duels, or when it comes to him winning the ball in the middle of the park, making more of defensive action, is not the most solid. And that is where you would not want him to be a sole number 6 On occasions he can be a good double. He can be a good double pivot alongside a stronger midfielder in the middle of the park, where he can be the progressive one of the both of the two double pivots. And that is where you need to understand that Alexis Mac Allister on the middle of the pitch and also up the field is the most prominent one. Now let's look at the system which Liverpool can possibly deploy for Alexis Mac Allister, right? Because if you look at the system, this could be the possible lineup with Alexis Mac Allister being right there in the Liverpool squad. Most likely it's going to be Darwin Núñez on the left-hand side. If Luis Diaz is fit, Jurgen Klopp likes Luis Diaz as well quite a bit. Now, what can he possibly do to the system? Now, instead of Anderson, you can maybe put Thiago there. He's a player who prefers playing on the left-hand side. You also saw that with Argentinian team, how he prefers playing on the left-hand side. He could be an ideal replacement for Gini Wijnaldum for the Liverpool team. Remember, after Gini Wijnaldum's departure, they've definitely struggled to find a player who's more progressive up front, who can go up the front and create those chances and also bring in some of the defensive actions into play. Liverpool being a pressing team, you can get defensive actions out of Mac Allister, but at the same time, what he can do is to create those chances on the half spaces. He can move into half spaces with Luis Diaz cutting inside. He can give them the width. Also with Andy Robertson being on the larger width, he can also be in the half spaces. Now, creating those half spaces will be so important because Alexis Mac Allister will be someone who will be right behind Gakpo and more often than not in these occasions. Because with Thiago being there, Thiago will slightly play a deeper role, maybe on parallel lines with Alexis Mac Allister, but Alexis Mac Allister will be the advanced midfielder in this system, right behind Gakpo, or maybe making those in-behind runs with Gakpo as well. Remember, Gakpo is also a player who is still not a complete striker. He's someone who likes to drop in a little bit. He likes his midfielders going slightly more forward, where he can bring his creative side of play a lot more. But Alexis Mac Allister on the left-hand side is going to be so important for this team because you have the pace of Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez on the left-hand side. At the same time, someone to make those ball in, you have to make a penetrative pass into the box, get a Luis Diaz or a Darwin Núñez involved. Mac Allister will be right there. Or in the system, if they want to go into a 4-3-3 with an attacking midfielder in a symmetrical system, or in a triangular system of an attacking midfielder being the main player in the system, you have to understand Alexis Mac Allister can do the job right behind Gakpo or play as a second striker if need be. Remember, even for Argentina, there were occasions when Alexis Mac Allister started as second striker. Recently in the game against Australia, Alexis Mac Allister started as second striker alongside Messi in a 4-4-2 system. So that is where Alexis Mac Allister can do that job, hold the ball a lot more. Its progressive passes are extremely well. At the same time, its shielding ability with the ball as well is very, very prominent. Now, what can they possibly get out of him, right? Now, as I mentioned, Gini Wijnaldum is the ideal player to compare for in a system like that. But also remember, with Liverpool being an injury-prone team, with Fabinho maybe getting back his form once again. Remember, Fabinho had a horrendous season in the last time around. So Fabinho will be the cover shadow to the defense alongside Thiago being slightly more centrally aligned and Alexis Mac Allister being the more advanced role in this. And that's how they could possibly line up with the defensive roles of Van Dijk, Konate, and also Trent and Robertson being on either side of the park, as you can see in the system already. So this is where Liverpool will have a very important job with Alexis Mac Allister, because remember, he's a player who's played most of the matches for Brighton. His fitness looks very good. He's had a long season, so this break will do him a world of good. And to come back fresh for the Liverpool team, it's going to be very important. And it's a very important season for the Liverpool team as well. So do remember that he is holding the cards for Liverpool, because Liverpool wanted to go behind Jude Bellingham. They did not get him, so they had to go for the best possible replacement. That was Alexis Mac Allister in the market. So guys, if you did enjoy a tactical analysis on Alexis Mac Allister, and we'll be bringing you more of such videos, do not forget to subscribe to our channel and also share this video with as many friends as possible so we can keep bringing you more of these contents. And do not forget to follow our Instagram page and also check out our fantasy contest, because remember, we have started out a premium feature. If you are a fantasy player who wants to go out there, challenge your friends, you want to show your skills and expertise in fantasy, do not forget to try out a premium feature with Boomer11, where you can buy a product and get into the premium contest, where you can earn some coins, make some great value additions into your fantasy tables, and also play our fantasy contest for absolutely free of cost as well, if you're really looking at a financially non-risky financial fantasy gameplay. So do not forget any of these, and have a good time, all of you. Do not forget to share this video once again, and we'll be back very soon. Thank you.